Alright, today we are going to go through your air skimmer project and actually marking it out on your manila folder. Everyone should have their own folder. And what we want to do is we want to use the taller side of the folder. The front side has these ribs and the lower cut tab. We're going to need all the space we can get, so we're going to put this on the back side here. To start with, on the back side, we're going to do like we did in practice. I'm going to go ahead and measure up and make a mark at 1/2 inch here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the right hand side. Then I'm going to neatly connect those two marks with my ruler and one nice straight line. Like so. From that point, I'm going to measure up 4 inches and make a mark. Notice that's 4 inches from my line, not 4 inches from the bottom of the folder. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. And then I'm going to connect those marks. That's the overall size of the racer. We need to make in our fold lines and our cut lines also. So from the lines that I just made, from the top line, I'm going to measure down 1/2 inch and make a mark on each end of the line. And from the bottom line, I'm going to come up 1/2 inch and make a mark. Now these lines will become the fold lines where your car will fold over, but also part of your car, this first 3 inches will be cut. Our cut lines are solid lines and our fold lines are dotted lines. So what I need to do when I put my ruler down this time, I need to make sure that the 0 point of my ruler is right on the edge of the paper. And the first 3 inches of my mark will be solid, with the rest of the way from 3 all the way down to 11 becoming a dashed line. Just like that. Lines should stay nice and parallel to each other and be nice, straight, single lines. I need to do the same thing up here on the top. So again, I'm going to make sure that the 0 point of my ruler is at the edge of the paper. From 3 back to the edge is a solid line, since that's a cut line. And after that, we have a dotted line the rest of the way across. There is another fold line. It's back here where the tail of your racer dips down towards the bottom of the car. Because that's a fold line, it's a dotted line, and that's going to go in between these 2 points, which are the end points of your cut line that was 3 inches long. There's the body of the air racer. Remember, this is going to be the bottom. You don't want to put the design on this side because of all the dotted lines that are there. We'll hide those by putting those on the bottom. Next up, we want to do the fins. We've got 2 fins. And then we have this air scoop here that we also want to do. Those will all go up top. So to give ourselves a nice new drawing area, once again, I'm going to go up 1/2 inch from my existing line. So I'm going to measure up 1/2 inch and make a mark on this side from the top of my air racer body. and do the same thing on this side. And I'll connect those two lines with a solid line all the way across the paper. The fins are 3 inches long by 3 inches tall with a 1/2 inch flat on each side. So the easiest way that I've found to make these is to start from the corner over here, measure in 3 inches and make a mark, measure up 3 inches and make a mark, move my ruler over so you guys can see that a little better. Both of those marks need to be a 1/2 inch long, so I want to make sure I keep my ruler nice and perpendicular to my other lines. And I'm going to extend this line 1/2 inch up into the paper, and this line also a 1/2 inch up into the paper. Once I have those done, I'm going to connect the end points of those lines, and that will become my fin. I want to go ahead and do a mirror image of what I just did on the right hand side. So again, 3 inches in, make a little mark, and 3 inches up and make a little mark. Both of these lines need to be a 1/2 inch long. Again, try to keep them nice and perpendicular to the other line that you've made, that bottom line of the fin. One trick you can do on the top line is line up this side and this side with your ruler. And again, connect those two lines and you've got your fins. The last thing we need to do is the air scoop. And the air scoop is just a little bit different than the other parts. I want to give myself a little bit of room here to work. So I'm going to measure over 1 inch from my existing piece and make a mark. And then my air scoop is actually 3 inches wide. So I want to go another 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches and make another mark. I want to do the same thing up top here. I'm going to line my ruler up with the top of both fins. Okay. And what I can do if my ruler is even with the edge of my page, I can make a mark at 4 and I can make a mark at 7. That way I have a 3 inch mark that's even with my marks down here, 3 inches apart. What I will do up here then is I'm just going to make a solid line between the 4 and the 7, and that shows me the top of my air scoop. I really don't need these little tick marks. I'm going to cut them off later so you don't really need to erase them. Okay? Between your mark down here and the end of this line up here is going to be a fold line. So that's a dotted line. We'll do the same thing over on this side. Your air scoop actually is smaller at the front end of the car, than it is when it gets towards the back end of the car. So what I need to do on the top is extend this top line by 1/8 of an inch, which is 2 little marks on your ruler on both ends. So notice this is longer now by 1/8 of an inch on each end at the top. At the bottom, we want to extend the mark 3/8 of an inch on each end. So what I'm going to do is count out 6 marks to 3/8. I'm going to go ahead and make a little tick line there since I have a line all the way across the bottom horizontally. I'm going to do the same thing on both sides at 3/8 of an inch. Here and here is where we are actually going to cut the air scoop out. So that's going to become a solid line on this side and on this side. At this point in time, I would put my name on here. So you can keep track of what is yours. You also need to make sure you have your design ready to go. We'll look at maybe making the design next lesson, but remember we want a full color, nice design on the other side of this and on both fins. That's all we have for today for the layout. Hopefully this worked out well for you, and we will continue on next time.